So we're a month into 2022. We have this great announcement for Mortal Kombat 2, a sequel to the 2020 Mortal Kombat movie. We get this leak from NetherRealm Studios. Accidental, intentional, it's still kind of up in the air. Is it a troll? But then we get this leak from 4chan. I know, our great friends at 4chan. And yeah, we're going to dive in, see what it's all about, and give my thoughts. Okay, so this leak comes from I Work for No One. So this isn't a NetherRealm Studios employee. This is just somebody saying that they have information pertaining to Mortal Kombat 12, which I know a lot of times with leaks, people don't like them, people like them. To me, it's just kind of cause for discussion. I just want to see what people out there are thinking. And I kind of like to take notes and, figure out kind of like a Mortal Kombat 12 bingo. Who was true? Who's going to get that bingo? Who's going to figure out, who got the most things right? Just all in good fun. It's just harmless fun. So let's dive into it. So this comes from, like I said, I work for no one. So not another Sales employee. And he lays out 7 points for Mortal Kombat 12. So let's get right to it. So with this one, he's talking about, don't let the stupid dev pranks fool you. Mortal Kombat 12 is the next official NetherRealm Studios release. Now, obviously the dev pranks he's talking about is the Anderson paper scattered across the desk, NetherRealm Studios leak that I covered recently, and a lot, I said in my intro, people are calling it accidental or intentional. Is it a troll? We don't know for sure, but we're leaning on the side of intentional, and it was probably a troll, sad to say. But he goes on to say there have been 2 shelf projects from NetherRealm Studios since work was completed on Mortal Kombat 11, which we know this to somewhat be true. The first is a brand new non-fighting game IP that has been temporarily shelved for the time being. We kind of heard rumblings that Warner Brothers was trying to get NetherRealm Studios, or maybe it was NetherRealm Studios themselves trying to move on, not from Mortal Kombat and Injustice, but maybe try to branch out into something new. I get that that's kind of what they're known for, but I think maybe they can do more. So maybe they're trying to do that, and it just didn't happen because, Mortal Kombat is their, as I've talked about in past videos, it's the one that makes all their money. So, of course, one of those games is like, nah, can that get us some more moolah? And he goes on to say, and the second is a Mortal Kombat game that has been scrapped completely, though some of its ideas have been reused for what is currently in development. What's interesting about that note is, what Mortal Kombat game is he talking about? There's been a couple games that I've covered on this channel. There's supposedly the 30th anniversary game that we could be getting, closer to the fall. And we've seen, stuff come out where we've had the OG arcade actors doing some type of work. We don't know for sure. We also have, Ed Boon possibly talking about maybe something going on with him and for a future project. Is that for a skin pack Mortal Kombat 12? Is that for a standalone game, like a HD remaster? We're not really sure. Or is it that Mortal Kombat Trinity game that I was talking about, or a Mortal Kombat HD collection game, where it was just more of a remaster of 1, 2, and 3 and Ultimate MK3 and kind of just repackage that out. Not really sure what that is. Hopefully it wasn't Shaolin Monks 2, because you have a lot of fans out there that love Shaolin Monks and they want a sequel, so hopefully they didn't scrap that. But he goes on to say in point 3, the roster will be relatively large, comparatively speaking. That's a lot of words. A lot of people point out, at least because I like to read the comments for these, that the grammar is so bad in some of these, that's how you know it's not true. But then in some ways I'm thinking, if it was perfect, would it be for real? Is that how you know it's for real? Is it the good grammar? But this sentence obviously sounds, all right. The roster will be relatively large, comparatively speaking, compared to their last few titles. The current plan is to have launched roster of 31, including a pre-order character. So we've heard this in many leaks before, that Mortal Kombat, any future Mortal Kombat game coming out, we will have more characters at the beginning and throughout the duration of the game. So it'll be interesting to see if we actually do get that. If one of these leaks actually is true and we actually do get more characters at the forefront of the game. 31 characters is a lot to launch, and including a pre-order character, which I'm guessing, we've had a couple of them, Shao Kahn and some other ones in the past, so I could see that, but 31 is a lot, and, I'm all for it. The more the merrier. So moving on to number 4, he says, the post-launch lineup is also planned to be relatively large, made up of several content drops that will include multiple characters, stages, and skin packs. The ultimate plan is to end its life cycle with a 50-plus roster. So I believe Mortal Kombat 11 ended with 37 characters, and that was a makeup of Mortal Kombat roster plus guests. So it's, there's a lot of mock rosters online kind of showing us what we could have gotten. I remember for a while they were talking about the squares, there's You know, it's a weird shape on the roster that we have now. So these are like the boxes that can be made up and make like a perfect, you know, square or rectangle. I don't know if we're gonna get all that stuff again, but you know, going from 31 to 15, that's an extra 19 characters. Even if this gave us an even 20, that's a lot of characters. And I you know, I think to myself, if you're gonna give us all these characters, for me personally, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For me personally, if I want all these characters in the game, I want them to have some type of meaning. I want them to be in a story. I want them to do stuff. I want them to not just be gimme, gimme, gimme because you want the game just to continue because I just need one more extra character to play. I know for some reason, I know for some people that's like okay, like that's all they want. You know, he kind of talks about this, I think later on in one of his posts, but I want it to be more like if you're gonna give me not guest characters, of course, but like if you're giving me like Mortal Kombat characters, I want them to be pertinent to the story. I want them to propel the story forward, propel a character's storyline forward. I want them to have some meaning and do stuff like that other than just like, hey, I'm gonna drop Melina and she ain't gonna do nothing but just be Melina. You know, which is kind of sort of what happened with MK11, but you know, I rather we had gotten that revenge story of, you know, Devora versus MK11 in the storyline. I know we got it somewhat in dialogue, and I know that you could play together and obviously take out your revenge, but I just want them to be more substantial. That's my personal opinion. So moving on, number 5. Don't need a soapbox. Let's go number 5. The game is said to be yet another reboot, but is not a retelling of Mortal Kombat's original trilogy. As with Mortal Kombat 11, this new reboot will take the series in a completely new direction plot-wise. I don't know why we keep rebooting Mortal Kombat. I think I get that, you know, you have Mortal Kombat 9, was it 9, 10, and 11? You know, that was introducing like the new age, the kids and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I like where we're at. I think let's just continue the story on and it just be like a continual, you know, story, soap opera, novella, whatever you want to call it. I think we have enough characters and storylines and plot lines going on. Let's just continue with what we have and the intricacies of the character dynamics we already have. Maybe introduce some new villains, some new big baddies, or bring back old ones that we would never expect to come back given what has taken place in Mortal Kombat 11. There's a lot of stuff that's happened given Fire God Liu Kang messing with the timeline. So you have enough story to tell just within that you could bring back characters or introduce new characters that you maybe left for just, you know, one round of the fight in previous games. They could have more substantial stuff to do. Now, I think as far as like this new direction plot-wise, I don't know where else you could really take it unless you start making good guys bad, which we kind of did that with some of the Revenant characters. So I don't know. We'll have to get some more details about that. But I think overall, I think what we have is good. Just build upon that and maybe just see where it takes us. So on number 6, he says some of the more recognizable Mortal Kombat characters will definitely be held out for the launch roster and saved for DLC to ensure high sales figures along high-profile guest characters. So I feel like this is what they did with Melina. They held her out to the very, very end so you could buy Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, or of course the Combat Pack 2. So, you know, I think that's, while it's a good move, obviously, to get more money, I think that maybe not do that right off the bat. I think if you give us some of the more high-profile characters at launch, and then hold out maybe some of the ones that we didn't possibly get in Mortal Kombat 11, I think a lot of people would be, I mean, they're never going to be okay with it, but they could be okay with it. And then I don't know about guest characters. I mean, I don't know who they could bring. I'm really kind of curious to see who we could actually get this time around. Ooh, Ghostface. Let's get Ghostface in Mortal Kombat at 12. That would be interesting. Can you imagine actually calling somebody and then somebody answer and that'd be like their, like, I don't know, his fatality or something, and he just comes down and stabs them? I'd be down for that. All right, number 7, final one. Mortal Kombat 12 will be the very first title in the franchise to have 2 different bosses depending on which ending you achieve in story mode. Fire God Liu Kang or the Dragon King Onaga. Now, I was reading the comments and I've seen other videos and other people talk about this already. I like this idea. I think this could work. I think in reality, you know, in Mortal Kombat 11 we had Chronica, but if you think about it, I see this more of kind of like it reminds me kind of like Twisted Metal, but you know, depending on which path you choose in the game, like maybe as who you play with, that kind of dictates who you could go with, like who you battle, or maybe at the very end they say you can battle this way or you can battle this way. That'd be kind of interesting, like a Telltale kind of game. Just focusing on the bosses that he labels out here, he lays out here. Fire God Liu Kang. Can I see that being a villain or a boss that you have to play? Yeah, I can see it one of two ways. Maybe you're trying to undo the changes that he did from Mortal Kombat 11. Maybe you have a different agenda than Liu Kang, so you have to battle him. Maybe not so much as he's like a villain, more as like he's trying to still hold on to what he has done and you're trying to undo it. So, you have to battle, and the winner obviously will, come out the victor and things will be undone. So I could see that, like, he agrees and undoes what he did. Or maybe Fire God Liu Kang gets corrupted. Maybe he has done something to the timeline and he gets corrupt with power from, manipulating time, and he continues to do it and he does things in his way. And, maybe heroes step in and say, hey, maybe heroes and villains team up and say, hey, this ain't right. We need to undo this. And so maybe in that scenario, we, have to battle corrupted Fire God Liu Kang. Maybe that's what the scenario is. So I can see that. Now moving on to Onaga, this has been in much discussion since the timeline was rebooted, because we thought, okay, if the timeline has been undone, are there any other repercussions that could have happened that could have caused other villains to come back that we've seen in past? So like the one being, that's what I was looking for, the one being. But Onaga for sure, because, in his particular scenario, we had the Kamidogus, and we had Chijinko, and we had, Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, and all this other, scenarios come into play. So it's possible. I think given when you reboot time, sometimes I kind of see it more from like a Marvel multiverse, Doctor Strange perspective, where if you make one change to one timeline, it could affect the threat of another timeline. So maybe that's what's going to happen is the way we have Onaga come out this way, maybe because we change time, it comes out a certain different way. So maybe we don't need the Kamidogus to get him to come out. Maybe he's already out, or maybe he's already conquered some parts of the realms, and Fire God Liu Kang doesn't figure that out until it's too late. That's always something we could do, and then you have to battle him at the very end to undo things and save the realms. And the cool thing about that would be we could actually get to explore more of the realms and more of the characters, which I think everybody's down for. So what do you think about this leak? What do you think about the points that he lays out? Do you think this is credible? I would say, anytime with these leaks, it's of course with a grain of salt. This is all for fun, so this is more like predictions, really. But it's always fun to go through and go through some thoughts and get your thoughts, of course, in the comments below. But yeah, what do you think about this leak? That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. If you want more of this, subscribe to the channel. I will be covering the Mortal Kombat sequel, of course, Mortal Kombat 12. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.